Test 1, 2, 3.
I will call the meeting to order. It is 5 o'clock, and we have, let's see, no public comment on closed session items, so we will go into our closed session. Thank you for,
Go ahead and make a big loud one for us this time.
what?
You have to make a big clank to get
I
this
know,
thing going.
Ooh,
But don't break it.
hello, present. Okay, there is a quorum present. It is, what is it, 6:03, and we have established a quorum, and we are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Person?
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? Ready? Begin.
Reporting action from our closed session. In closed session, we had a motion by Member Benjamin and seconded by Member Kolb Senior. And the board voted to deny the 3 government claims submitted by Patricia Lewis of Lewis Law on behalf of the 3 minor claimants. Students dated February 23, 2023 by the following roll call vote, and it was unanimous. The vote was passed. Also in closed session, on a motion of trustee Benjamin and seconded by trustee Caputo, the board took action to release temporary certificate employees identified by employee numbers pursuant to the Ed Code Section 44954, effective at the end of the 22-23 school year, and ratified the legal notices to be issued to these employees. The roll call vote was unanimous. Approval of our agenda, additions, deletions, and corrections.
President Stroh, tonight we have a few changes to the contract list. The contract for Zazuta Contracting has been increased from $3,415 to $11,000. We have added additional playground equipment and have fortified our safety measures on several pieces of equipment at the primary, elementary, and Lilac. Interesting, as we fix some of our equipment, it's really there's a call out for exactly what company we use, the exact screws that are used, so it's not like you can just go down to Home Depot and put your playground equipment together. So that's one of the reasons for the increase in this contract. But it's very interesting, as I was looking at it, all the different things we need to go through to make sure that our playground equipment is the safest it can be for our students. But obviously we're glad to do that. Also, we have increased the amount of the Daytel contract originally approved in August. This increase allows for a total cost not to exceed $35,000 to cover emergency repairs and additional equipment district-wide, and most of these costs will be covered by our E rate. So we'll be reimbursed up to 90% on these items. Those are the only changes.
Okay, great, thanks for that information. And approval of agenda, do I have a motion? Okay, Member Benjamin moves, and a second? Member Caputo is seconding. Let's call for the vote, or any discussion, further discussion. So, Member Benjamin.
Aye.
Member Caputo. Member Kolb Senior. Member Polito.
Aye.
Member Stroh votes aye. Now, the exciting part of our meeting here is recognition and presentations. And we are honoring tonight for our classified will be Jose Barrera Gonzalez for classified and Jenna Wilson Andrews for certificated employees of the month. And this is presented by our principal, Mr. Aaron Little.
Oh, there it is. I think we got it now. Okay. So Mr. Barrera could not be here today, but I would still like to move forward and share some of my comments with him, if you don't mind. President Stroh, members of the board, Superintendent McCowan, district representatives, my name is Aaron Little, and I'm honored to be the principal of Valley Center High School, and I'm honored to share with you our classified and certificated employees of the month. Valley Center High School's classified employee of the month is Mr. Jose Barrera Gonzalez. Jose is the lead custodian at the high school, a job that he took on only a few months before, after the school year had begun. There's a saying in education that the most important people to know and to keep happy on a school campus are the principal's secretary and the lead custodian. And anyone who has spent any time at a school knows the incredible value those two positions bring to a school and the necessity it is to have great people in those roles. Jose is certainly no exception to that. Jose takes great pride in his work, always responding to the needs of our staff and going above and beyond to ensure our campus facilities are tended to and are in the best possible condition for our students. Jose is always willing to lend a helping hand and is an incredible role model for all of us. He's never without a smile and a kind word to share. Jose is a dedicated employee, and we're thankful to have him as a part of our team. However, I feel that a true sign of a person's value is not what I say, but rather what his colleagues say about them. So I'd like to share a few comments from his colleagues. Jose responds to emails immediately, takes care of so many things on our campus with a smile and with ease. If there is a need, he is the go-to person for anything to do with our facilities. He's a great guy with a great attitude. I've known Jose since he was 15. He was a real sweet kid and is now a really good man with whom I'm thrilled to work. And Jose has done a great job in this new position. He gets things done right away, even when we give him things to do at the very last minute. He always has a positive attitude. And those are just a few of the comments that I received after folks heard that Jose was going to receive this award. Jose, if you were here, we are grateful that you show up to work every day and put forth the effort you do. Our school and our community are better places because of you. Congratulations on being named the Valley Center High School Classified Employee of the Month. You get to stand right here. Yes, that's part of the punishment, is you get to stand here. Okay, so it is also my pleasure to introduce this year's Certificated Employee of the Month, Mrs. Jenna Wilson. Soon to be Andrews, as she got married recently this year, but has not made that switch quite yet. That was my advice, to hold off. So until the honeymoon and tickets, all that. So anyways, Jenna's been teaching at the high school for the past 4 years and has made a tremendous impact on her students and her community. She's a dedicated teacher who believes in the power of education and the culture of a school community. Anyone who's ever seen her in action knows that Jenna is committed to helping her students reach their fullest potential. She is a creative and enthusiastic teacher who encourages her students to think critically and strive for excellence. She's an advocate for students and is always looking for new ways to engage and motivate them. It's not a stretch to say that Jenna is a force to reckon with and is someone who believes in kids and will fight for what is best for them. As a principal, that's exactly what I want from all of my teachers and employees. Beyond her classroom, I've had the pleasure to witness her influence upon our school culture by working hand in hand with our ASB students through her guidance of our leadership class. She currently coordinates and runs our freshman induction program 9-time, and she was a part of the leadership group that brought Breaking Down the Walls to our campus this year. Next year, Jenna has agreed, hopefully not begrudgingly, but has agreed to take on the role of our ASB advisor. And I look forward to the conversations and plans she has to continue to improve and focus on making our campus a safe and inclusive place for anyone who walks upon it. Jenna is a part of a group of young, talented teachers that exists on our campus that isn't afraid to challenge the status quo and continually question what we do and seek out what is in the best interest of our students. Here are just a few words from her colleagues, and I'll keep it brief because there's quite a few. Whether collaborating across 10th grade English or history or working together on book clubs, Jenna's the most ambitious, collaborative, inspiring, and creative colleague I've worked with. Mrs. Wilson goes out of her way to make students feel welcomed on campus. She's always creating positive experiences for our students. She's always willing to participate in any event to help students and make this the best campus possible. Jenna puts in work. I like that one. She's an outstanding educator, coach, mentor, and colleague. Jenna's amazing with all of her students and everyone she works with. Jenna, you've already had a tremendous influence upon our campus in the short time that you've been here. We're proud of those efforts, and we're excited to see where you take us into the future. Congratulations on being named the Valley Center High School Certificated Employee of the Month. You do. You get to speak if you want. So I think you get an award. We get to take a picture too.
He's gonna need a picture.
Dustin. Nope, you gotta take it, bud.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You have the right one. There you go.
Got it?
Okay. All right, get the official one though too.
Was it good, Lauren? Is that yours?
One more for
Oh,
the
we got one more.
paper,
One more.
I think.
Yes.
There we go.
I hate when kids talk from their phones, but I was short on time. I was doing this at softball practice. I just really want to thank everyone for being here, especially my colleagues and Mrs. Carrillo and the students. That I love you guys so much, and my softball players, love you guys. My mom, my grandpa, and my brother and my nephew are over there too, so thank you guys for being here. Well, let me just start by saying I really have you guys fooled, don't I? I'm tremendously honored to have been named the Certificate Employee of the Month for Valley Center High School. This is a special place, a good place, and that's no coincidence. It's good people who make good places. I know what this award means. At least to me, it means my colleagues see something in me that I don't see in myself yet. But I hope they see themselves in this honor because they're the good people who make it possible and invaluable to do good work in this good place. And there's too many people to thank because I actually can't do anything on this campus without every single person on this campus. Jose, who also is being awarded this, everybody in the front office, Mrs. Carrillo, who's there for every single thing I could ever need. Drew, always there whenever I need someone to talk to or just collaborate. Mr. Little, Amanda, you're always there for me. There's just too many. But this good work isn't limited to us. 1,154. There are 1,154 reasons, good reasons, great, perfect reasons to do this work. And not just good work, but the most important work I, or any of us, will ever do. It's not something that I take lightly, because at least at Valley Center High School, in this good place, I have 1,154 reasons not to. Thank you.
I would just like to add that Jenna, I have had the fortune to work with Jenna with the 9-time program at the end of the school year and along with her leadership students. And Jenna is excellent in the classroom, and I don't think there's any question about that. But when you watch her in a gym with a group of students and how quickly not really take control but can engage that many students, there's only a few educators that I've seen do that and do it as well as you do. And one of those is Coach Gilster, that can take a gym and get them motivated in one direction, and you're a person that can do that too. And so we're very lucky here at Valley Center, and I can't believe it's only been 4 years because you've been involved in so many things. I think you've been working here like 10. So thank you for your dedication to our students and our staff, Jenna.
And Jenna, is this on? And Jenna, I'd like to say too, when I met you, I just knew you were I've heard great things about you, but this is a huge representation of heart and what you're doing in the lives of all those students you say, though. I mean, that's huge. That's what we're about. That's what it makes a difference in everybody's life. Coworkers and that, thank you. You're a blessing to our school district.
Congratulations again. You should be very proud.
Very. And
You don't need to stay any longer.
yeah, you may leave if you'd like to. We're going to move on to the other part of our business meeting, the business part. You can. I'm sure. Oh. And we're going to have a presentation by Principal Aaron Little.
All right. I'm back.
Literacy comes in many forms.
It does.
Take it away.
Okay. So good evening once again. So tonight I would like to take a few moments of your time to highlight the work at the high school around literacy. Go ahead and click one more for me. Thank you. So literacy obviously starts with the English department on any campus. And this starts with providing our students with the basic tools necessary to become literate across all curriculums. As an English department, our teachers are dedicated to providing these tools such as graphic organizers, scaffold activities to allow for the greatest access of understanding for all of our students. You know, on the screen up there, you can see a couple of the tools several of our teachers use to help with our students to be able to access their education in their English classes. Scaffolded notes and graphic organizers are used to help students develop their thoughts and organize their writing prompts. At the high school, we offer pre-advancement placement classes for our stronger students where they are pushed to develop their skills in writing and the development of thoughtful and coherent arguments. To support some of our most vulnerable students in the development of literacy, we've redesigned our current ELD support for our English language learners by pairing grade-level ELD, and for those of us who aren't used to education acronyms, ELD stands for English Language Development. We partner ELD courses with our mainstream courses, and this is in addition to this year we also created a newcomers class that focused primarily on language acquisition for our students who have been in our country for less than 2 years. And then, as our students progress through our English curriculum, we continue to offer opportunities for acceleration for our students who want it by extending our pre-AP track, as well as offering opportunities for our students to showcase their love of literature with activities such as our recent Poetry Out Loud. And you can see a picture up there of a couple of our winners this year from our Poetry Out Loud event. And eventually, we even extend beyond that to where we also offer AP courses for our students, in particular our English language composition and our English literature composition. However, literacy does not stop just in our English class at the high school level. Within our social science department, we are working hard to pivot away from the social science classes of old that many of us probably remember, myself included, where memorization of events and dates was the #1 priority. As one of our social science teachers shared with me, today we have social science classes where the acknowledgement that understanding of facts and dates are important. But doing history is working in the gray area, wrestling with the contentious questions about causality, questions whose answers will influence how our students act on problems in the present. Within our math department, our math classes, our teachers have embarked upon a book study this year called Thinking Classrooms. And that book study focuses on the 8 mathematical practices that are up there on the screen, okay, around the power of student engagement. Students are no longer being asked to memorize formulas and perform 100 practice problems every night that I'm sure many of us were asked to do. Instead, our students are being pushed to develop their mathematical literacy by operating in the gray. Students are often asked the question, why? It's a simple question, but powerful, and are encouraged to talk with one another about how they solve problems and work through struggles that they may have had. Next year, we will offer 3 different math classes that focus exactly on that. And it's hard to see up there, but we are going to be offering applied math, AP stats, and data science. And these are 3 courses that utilize the foundation of mathematical skills to look at and analyze data, statistical models, and develop financial strategies. These are courses that are true opportunities for our students to develop and showcase their mathematical literacy. Our science department has recently adopted and has begun the process of implementing the Next Generation Science Standards, or NGSS. Similar to 8 mathematical practices, NGSS focuses upon discovery and developing scientific literacy so that our students can analyze, interpret, and make intelligent conclusions based upon their work. Up there you can see a couple of our students who have made their homemade rockets and down there doing labs. Okay, students are given opportunities to be able to be asked and explore their inquisitive nature and demonstrate their understanding of their scientific literacy. And even within our electives, literacy exists. A great example of this is within our ag department. While for many of us, when we hear ag, our minds go directly to the animals and the feeding, taking care of the various ones that live on our farm. However, also, as many of us in this room here can attest to, there is a lot more to know and understand in order to thrive in the ag field. Our students are required to participate in an SAE, or school-based agriculture education project. And these are projects that are all-encompassing, where students are required to write out plans, put those plans into action, and develop budgets to support those plans. They must work through the challenges that come with raising animals, the ever-fluctuating economy, and develop the skills to make decisions that are in the best interest of their animals and the goals of their project. It's these types of activities that develop the agricultural literacy in our students and push them to utilize numerous skills and talents developed in other departments on our campus. Teaching literacy on a high school campus isn't always smooth, and it certainly isn't always clean, but it's where some of the best teaching and the best learning takes place, and we're proud of the direction that we are headed. And speaking of direction we are headed, I'd like to take just a few more moments here and take advantage of the time of me being in front of you and update the board on our most recent WASC accreditation visit that concluded yesterday. So for those of us who do not live the life of a high school principal or administrator, WASC, W-A-S-C, stands for Western Association of Schools and Colleges, and it's the accrediting commission for all high schools and colleges on the West Coast. So essentially, this committee is what allows our diplomas to have meaning. Without being accredited by this committee, our diplomas don't mean anything. So it's a pretty big deal that they've been here for the last 3.5 days. So since Sunday afternoon, our school hosted our committee comprised of 5 administrators from various schools in Southern California. And the job of this group is to examine our academic and cultural program and make a determination of whether or not we're effective in our mission as educators and whether we have the capacity to make strides in what is in the best interest of our students. And I'm here to tell you tonight that while we don't have the official report yet from the committee at this moment, I do feel that it was an incredibly successful visit. And our committee walked away yesterday very impressed with our students, staff, and community. On the screen, there are a few of the identified strengths of Valley Center High School made by the committee. They really wanted to focus on our strengths being our school culture. You know, they're incredibly impressed with just the family atmosphere that we have here at Valley Center. Our future plan for developing our collaborative teaching model, in which we're going to work on co-teaching to really support our students with IEPs. The redesign, the most recent redesign within the last couple of years of our EL program to include grade level ELD courses and our newcomers course. The variety of courses we offer, they were very impressed with the small school that we are, but just the variety that we do offer, whether it be from AP courses to CTE and et cetera. And speaking of CTE, they're also very impressed with our CTE program, the diversity and hands-on, real-world, and community-based learning opportunities for our students. Lastly, it's also a part of the committee's duty to provide us guidance on areas of continuous improvement. Most, if not all, of these areas that are being identified up on the screen are actually ones that we identified before they even got here. These are things that we acknowledge that while we do okay, we still need to get better at. And that is the alignment of our school mission statement with the SLOs and even developing a vision statement. Professional learning communities, which we are in the process of utilizing now, but continue to focus on formative and summative assessments utilizing data. and expanding upon and monitoring the implementation of engaging activities, which our math department this year has really taken head on with getting our kids up, moving, and physically and mentally engaged at all times. And lastly, developing a map of interventions. Their comment to us was, we have an incredible amount of interventions and supports for our kids, but be able to create a map so that way all of our community members know what those are and they're able to know how to access them. So in the end, as I said before, I can't guarantee it, but I do fully expect us to be granted a 6-year accreditation from this committee as a validation of the great work that is being done at the high school. So thank you for your time tonight. I apologize for the length of my presentation, but I hope you found it informative and valuable. I appreciate for the opportunity to be here. Thank you.
Principal Little, before you sit down, I'd like to just say a few words about your WASC accreditation. First of all, it was a job well done. We met, Mark and I both did, with the WASC committee, part of the committee, had a great time with them, and then we're able to hear the readout. The readout yesterday afternoon was outstanding. I think it really reflected exactly what kind of staff is here at the high school and the work that you guys are doing. With that, Mark, I'd like to congratulate you also as part of that 6-year period as you guys have transitioned between the two. But very proud of this staff, very proud of you, very proud of the administrative team and everybody that, you know, makes the Jaguar family the family it is. So congratulations, great job, and your staff has a lot to be proud of.
I appreciate it. And to be fair, yourself, Mr. McCowan, is actually the original principal who started the accreditation process. Mark then took it on, and then I get all the glory for all 6 months that I've been here. So, okay, so thank you both.
Well
Appreciate
done.
it.
Well done, Mr. Little.
Thank you for a great report. It was not too lengthy. It was very informative. Appreciate. Great job. Great work. Looking forward to it. And so we'll move on to request to address the board, and there is no request to address the board. So we'll move on to our consent agenda.
And
Benjamin,
yeah.
yes.
So this month it was my job to review the purchase orders. There weren't anything that stood out to me for questions, so I move that we approve the consent agenda along with the updated personnel listing.
Okay, so we have a motion, and do we have a second? I'll second. Okay, Member Polito seconds. And is there any further discussion? Being none, we'll go for the vote. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Caputo? Aye. Member Kolb Senior? Aye. Member Polito? Aye. And Member Stroh votes aye. Moving to Superintendent Division. Superintendent report, Superintendent McCowan.
Okay, so a couple of things happened this last month that are very exciting. One of them I don't have a picture of, but when I became superintendent, I realized that at the elementary level, they celebrate the 100th day of the school year. And I showed up at one of the schools on the 100th day, and I couldn't recognize some of the teachers, and all of a sudden it dawned on me, they're dressed up like they're 100 years old over at the primary school. And it was just, it was hilarious. And they caught me off guard because I didn't quite realize what was going on, and I wish I would have got a picture of them. But there was like gray wigs and old, it was something else. So, and the kids just loved it. Even the kids, some of them were dressed up. So we have gone by the 100th day, and next year I'll have to, actually I don't need to dress up to look 100 anymore. So. The other thing that happened this month that was great was our Read Day. It's just an awesome day to watch our community come in and read with our kids, and the kids get so excited and into it, and our teachers also enjoy it very much. The first slide up there that I've got shows the Sheriff's Department coming in and reading some books for us, and that was at the primary school. The next slide I have up there was Read Day. It shows a couple more of the sheriffs. I think this is still at the primary school, so you can see they had a big turnout. The next one's the Lilac Lizards, and they got the fire department. And so where's our next picture there? There's the Lilac Lizards, and you can see the adults reading the books. And then in the top there, of course, you can see Mr. Ryan, dressed up in full costume. I assume his wife dressed him up in that. Down below, we actually have the librarian at the elementary school. There's a picture of us reading to the kids up there. Our librarian, who really the public library in the last couple years has really reached out, and the amount of reading materials that we've gotten for our kids there has just been just great. In fact, I think our librarian was just named one of the awards for community involvement.
Yeah, I believe Mrs. Laura Zuckerman has been chosen for the Valley Center Person of the Year.
Yeah, and a lot of that is, has worked well for us as a school site. Also at the Lilac Lizards there, we have the refresh of iPads. We were able to get quite a few iPads refreshed, and the nice thing now is I believe we're pretty close to 100% of our iPads now have the keyboards with them, which will help the students, but then also help a lot when it comes to testing time. So want to thank our IT department and everybody for managing that. Also, the Valley Center Middle School drumline, the next picture there, they placed first in the junior division and also received the highest score of competition at the Mission Vista school drumline competition. So congratulations to them. It's been, like I said, a great week of month of going through some things. It's a very short month because we had a week off during it. I would like to announce for tomorrow we have Ag Day, which is always a great day here in Valley Center. We are praying the rain stays away till 2:30, but we are watching our weather reports very closely and love to get the kids out there. The other thing that I'd just like to mention to the board that took place yesterday afternoon is our aspiring administration class that we've been running. And it's the first time that we've ran it since, I guess that's my timer. It's the first time we've ran it since before COVID, and Aaron was the presenter this month as an HR director and what people might expect if they were to get to administration and HR, and I was able to do a little thing on leadership. And what's really nice about the group that we have together, it's probably close to 50-50 classified employees and certificated employees, and what we've kind of geared this opportunity for is people that want to be future administrators, but also people that maybe just want to be future leaders or increase their leadership capacity on the campus and the positions they're in. And so it's been a fun group. Each one of the cabinet members, department areas have a month where they'll present. And I think the neat part about it is we sat there for about an hour afterwards, and it's just a good time for us as cabinet members to get to meet some of our employees in a different arena. And so I think between Aaron and Mark and myself, we would say that we thoroughly enjoyed that. And I see a couple of people that were at it, and hopefully you enjoyed it also. And I think it's something that we're looking forward to the next couple meetings for. With that, for the school board, thank you very much, and we'll move on.
Thank you. That sounds great. That workshop sounds wonderful. Yeah. How many people were? Okay.
We had 26. We have some that couldn't make it to there.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, one of the things we like to do is
Good
look at
stuff.
future administrators that will go on to lead our district at some
Yeah,
point.
that time to connect together is wonderful, too. Okay, we're going to move on to nominate members for CSBA Delegate Assembly. Does anybody have a nomination out of the flight of people we have? Anybody? I do. I looked through and, yeah, did some of my homework here. And I have 3 nominees. One is a Darla Dominguez Cerritos, and she is from Chula Vista. The next one is Barbara Ryan, and she is from Santee. And the last one is Melissa Crow, and she is from Warner Springs. And those are the 3 that I thought would be good delegates to move forward and serve CSBA. So,
Yeah, I did not have time to do any research, so I trust you on that one.
okay. So do I have a motion to approve those?
Also move.
Okay, Member Benjamin moves. A second? Okay, Member Caputo seconds. And any further discussion? Being none, let's call for the vote. Member Benjamin? Aye. Member Caputo? Aye. Member Kolb Senior? Aye. Member Polito? Aye. And Member Stroh votes aye. Okay, let's see here. The board now will conduct a first reading for the following revised policies and administrative regulations. This will be brought before the board for approval on April 20th, 2023. Revised Administration Regulation 5148.2, students before and after school programs. Regulation updated to reflect new laws AB 181 and AB 185, which updates the ELO program requirements for the 2022-2023 school year. New board policy 5148.2, students before and after school programs. Policy adopted to clarify expanded learning opportunities beyond the regular school day. And we'll move on to educational services.
Excellent. Good evening, President Stroh, members of the board, Superintendent McCowan, staff, and guests. Tonight, I would like to provide you with an overview of our proposed plans for our upcoming summer learning opportunities. Here you can see an overview of our summer offerings, which includes our summer school learning session for students in grades 1 through 12, paired with our extended school learning programming, our migrant summer program, extended school year or ESY, and opportunities that might be available outside of our district. Some of our summer school programs will be overlapping, and some will be standalones. I would like to provide you with some information about each of these programs and then present to you our proposed calendar. Our learning program is focused on boosting and strengthening skills and concepts for our students so that they can transition successfully into the next grade level. At the high school level, most of our courses will be hosted through a credit recovery approach using Imagine Learning, formerly known as Edgenuity. We will have courses available in CTE areas and advanced placement prep and mathematic readiness. And we're hoping to have a course for invited ninth graders that will help them not only benefit and connect with the high school, but target some specific academic areas of support. Summer services are a key element for our migrant education program, providing clear supplemental services to students. The summer migrant program will offer approximately 30 hours of academic support, integrated English language development, support students' academic progress, decrease the academic gap, and increase parent support and communication. This program is an incredibly important opportunity for extended learning time to fill the gaps caused by students' possible mobility and disruptions they may face as they move through the regular school year. The Extended School Year program, also known as ESY, is designed to support students to maintain skills they have learned as part of their Individualized Education Plan, or IEP. This program is supported by a team of teachers and staff and service providers who work very closely together to make sure that they're meeting students' needs. Held in person, educating students with IEPs from preschool all the way through adult transition. Services are tailored to specific unique needs of the student, and the staff works very closely with the parents and families to form a very collaborative model. A new addition to our summer learning opportunities is the extension of our Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, or ELOP. We have developed a strong ELOP partnership this year with the Boys and Girls Club of Greater San Diego, being able to provide extended learning programs following our regular school day. This will continue into the summer, where funding that we have available through the ELOP grants will provide summer extended learning programs that focus on the interests of students with hands-on and engaging learning experiences that complement what would take place in a normal school day. Working with the Boys and Girls Club, we will be continuing these programs, and they will take place following our general summer sessions for students in grades K through 6. The great thing about the ELOP program is that it is available to everybody, but through the grants that we receive, we're able to provide financial support to those families that are in the highest level of need. So another piece that's really important is working with our community and our educational partners to communicate every summer opportunity that may be available to our students. So one of the things that we'll be also working to do is communicating resources and information to our parents as shared by our partners such as Palomar College, Cal State San Marcos, and UC San Diego. Many of these programs give students opportunities to take college classes during the summer, earning both high school and college credits. And then some programs like UC San Diego have like a large level of learning camps ranging from things to flying drones and robotics to other potential career paths. Here you can see our proposed summer calendar. The biggest change from our previous year would be the transition from a 2-session model taking place in June, July, and August to primarily a 1-session model taking place in June and July. Although this change is a movement from our previous approach, it will not be a significant reduction in the potential students served with a flexible 20-day approach compared to last year's 2 sessions, one being 11-day and one being 12. So we'll have a 20-day 1 session compared to a 23 2-session combined. At the elementary level, we hope to increase the number of teachers able to support students to match our past offerings. At the high school level, we have reviewed the students who attended the 2nd session from the previous year and found that very few additional students beyond the 1st session attended. So essentially, the majority of the students in the 2nd session, were students from the 1st session. So this is one of the pieces that leads us to believe that forming one longer session will meet the needs of all students in our district. Students will be able to, in the credit recovery area, move through at minimum 1 course, most likely 2 courses. Our hope is that families will be able to focus on attendance and completion by having this one primary session model. We will continue to provide more flexible schedules and options for our extended school year and migrant program. The migrant program will mirror the 20-day model and then continue with additional virtual offerings to support students at the secondary level. And then really the extended school year or ESY program, being a little bit shorter, will be scheduled and designed to meet the needs of those students and families. As in previous years, we will run our programs at 2 school sites, one for elementary students and one for middle and high school students. At this time, we're moving forward with the following next steps, which is finalizing our funding to support this larger summer program offering, moving forward with the hiring of staff, organizing the systems that are needed in place to support summer learning, such as transportation, child nutrition services, and technology. And then as we move through these things, we'll move to the point where we will be able to communicate a finalized calendar and the opportunities that we have available to all of our families, and then providing information directly to the students and registering them to meet their needs. Thank you very much for this opportunity to give you an overview of our proposed summer learning opportunities, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, and I just want to say, because several of us went to CSBA through the last quite a few years, but they were big on the summer learning and the gap that fills in for all these students, and what a difference it makes statistically in how they can keep up with and gain some ground. So it looks like you're moving forward and perfecting our summer school model.
Always working towards perfection, definitely.
Yep. Thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to that, helping our students. Okay, we will move forward to a presentation to approve a positive certification for the second interim report. Where? Oh, whoops. Sorry about that. Okay, a new high school course. This is important. Am I correct? Yeah. Data Sciences. This is the first reading, and this will be brought before the board for approval on April 20th, 2023. Now am I good to go? Okay. I wrote all over that with your notes. I didn't. Yeah, your report was so great. Okay, so now moving to approve the positive certification of the second interim report presented by Chief Business Officer John Peterson.
Thank you. Good
Thank
evening.
you.
Tonight, we present the second interim report for the 2022-23 school year. And before we get started, I want to thank our Director of Finance, Michael Avalos, for all of his hard work in preparing the second interim report. The second interim gives us our second opportunity of the year to update our budget and our assumptions, and it's based on actuals through the end of January plus assumptions for the remainder of the year. This is our first slide here gives you a side-by-side comparison of our budget assumptions the last time we presented you with an update, which was the first interim report back in December. You can see we're projecting an increase in both revenues and expenditures. Revenue has increased primarily due to accounting entries to account for the receipt of electric bus grant revenue anticipated to be received before year's end, and for the receipt of federal Perkins grant dollars. Expenditures have been increased to account for the offsetting purchase of those electric buses for Perkins expenditures and for the recent settlement agreements with our bargaining units. I'll shift now to reviewing our multi-year assumptions. You'll note that the projected COLA for next year has increased to 8.13%, and it has dropped slightly for 24-25. More on that later. We're lowering our funded average daily attendance ADA projection because we simply aren't hitting our attendance targets. More on that in a future slide. Our unduplicated pupil percentage is hovering a little more than 60% in our budget assumptions. Those may increase. And another significant change from first interim is the district PERS contribution. We had projected a slight decline in the PERS rate, but the governor's proposed budget actually reflects a significant increase, going to 27% next year and 28.1% the following year. In this slide, you can see the impact of our current assumptions on the unrestricted ending fund balance. Due to the increase in the projected COLA, we should see an increase of revenue of about $950,000 next year, LCFF revenue. Because many of our recent expenditures are on the restricted side, the unrestricted balance stays healthy. However, let's look at the next slide. The last slide was unrestricted. This slide shows the fund balance for restricted funds. As we spend down the one-time funds that we have received, you will notice a reduction in our fund balance of more than $4.5 million in this MYP. Some of the initiatives we support with restricted funds will have to switch over to unrestricted funds if we want to keep them going. Obviously, that wouldn't be sustainable for very long, so we will face some tough decisions about what initiatives to prioritize over the next year or two. However, we do project to maintain sufficient overall balance that we'll be able to meet our fiscal obligations in the current year and the 2 out years, so we recommend that the board adopt a positive certification of the second interim report. I'm including this slide on average daily attendance because it represents a significant challenge for us, both instructionally and financially. Even though our enrollment held steady this year and may decline slightly next year, our ADA projections are dropping dramatically because students' attendance habits have not changed since the height of the pandemic. Our P1 attendance rate was just under 90% this year, and we haven't seen any significant improvement as the year progresses. During the pandemic, we were held harmless for attendance losses, but that is no longer the case. If students aren't attending school regularly, it will be a challenge for them to excel academically and to close learning gaps. And because we're funded on actual attendance and not on enrollment, we are arguably losing roughly $1.9 million per year in revenue because our students are attending 90% of the time instead of 94.5% of the time, which was the norm before the pandemic. Now I'll move on to some highlights from the governor's proposed budget from back in January. The biggest news was his proposed increase to the projected COLA for next year, now assumed to be 8.13%. The STRS contribution should hold steady at 19.1%, but the PERS contribution will increase to 27%, which we weren't expecting. Another surprise was the governor's proposed cut to the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials grant by 1/3, even though we're receiving all the funds this year. This likely will be hotly contested by legislators this spring. On the flip side, we're expecting to start receiving a little more than $600,000 per year in Proposition 28 arts and music funding next year. This was a statewide ballot proposition passed by the voters in November. Our arts revenue stream must be used for arts and music course offerings, and 80% of the funds must be used for hiring new personnel. The governor also made a proposed equity multiplier a key feature of his proposed budget, which provides extra funding to schools with high numbers of students who qualify for free lunch. None of our schools come close to the threshold, so we won't receive any equity multiplier funding. However, our high school seniors may benefit from a proposal to provide $200 for each high school senior to have a cultural experience, such as a field trip to a museum or to a concert. The governor also proposes providing schools with extra funding for opioid overdose reversal medication. All in all, you see a proposed state budget that doesn't introduce any significant new initiatives, which seem to be a key feature of the last 2 years. There was lots of new programs and initiatives coming along, and we don't see that in the current budget proposal. And remember, the January budget proposal is being debated by legislators now, and then the governor will revise his budget proposal in May before the legislature passes its final budget at the end of June. So what's ahead? We'll begin the hard work of putting together next year's budget during the next 3 months. In the middle of May, the governor will present his May revision, and we'll monitor whether his budget proposals that would impact our school district are going to stick, such as the 8.13% COLA and the 1/3 cut to the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Grant. We'll bring a proposed budget for your approval at our June board meeting, and as always, the board will exercise its stewardship of our public funds to ensure that we maximize opportunities for our students while striving to maintain a balanced budget. That's the presentation. Thank you for your time and attention in hearing this summary of the second interim report, and we do recommend passing a positive certification.
Thank you for your great report and clarity and explaining everything.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So like actual ADA versus funded ADA, I don't understand how all that works. So do we just not get as much money later on in the year that we thought we were gonna get because kids aren't showing up to school?
Yeah,
or-
so there's a kind of a hold harmless thing going on here. So your actual ADA, which is the real attendance rate this year, if it's lower than it was last year, you get last year's ADA. But this year's ADA will then form next year's. So the funded ADA is always a little different from what the actual ADA is. And right now, we're on a 3-year rolling average. That's something that came out of the pandemic. So our ADA is actually an average of the previous 3 years. So the fact that the attendance is not improving this year is going to be 1/3 of this rolling average going forward.
So it's really all next year's budget
Yes,
that
Yeah.
will get less money.
that's
for.
right.
Okay,
Yes.
just to clarify. Okay, yeah, that was really all my questions around that.
Question? Okay. So let's go for a motion. Do I have a motion to approve?
Also move?
Okay, Benjamin. Is there a second? Member Polito seconds. Is there any further discussion for him? Okay, let's go for the vote. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Caputo?
Aye.
Member Kolb Senior? Member Polito? And Member Stroh votes aye. And now adopt a home-to-school transportation plan. A presentation by Chief Business Officer.
Thank you once again.
Don Peterson.
Tonight, I want to give you a brief overview of the home-to-school transportation services that our district provides and seek your approval of our first-ever annual transportation plan, which is attached in your board packet. This year's state budget increased funding for home-to-school transportation. In fact, the first increase in well over a decade. Specifically, the enhanced funding will be an increase to the district's base funding as an add-on to the LCFF, so that the district can be funded at up to 60% of its transportation costs. Because our district already receives transportation funding at a greater level than most districts, we won't see a significant increase. but we will see a modest increase nonetheless. As a result of the increased funding, the state requires each school district's governing board to adopt a plan as to how they will use the increased funding to provide transportation services, especially to TK through 6th grade students who don't already receive services. It's a little bit of the background here. In 2013-14, with the enactment of the LCFF, state funding for home-to-school transportation was established at a fixed amount in perpetuity based on the amount of funding each school district received in 2012-13. This was accomplished by providing an LCFF home-to-school add-on. Consequently, the transportation add-on remained fixed with the amount for our school district permanently set at $875,000 a year. The amount of funding provided by the state for home-to-school transportation was insufficient to cover the actual costs. Consequently, most districts were forced to contribute other unrestricted general fund dollars to the program. Because the transportation add-on did not increase each year, the district contribution to home-to-school grew over time as costs escalated, which caused most school districts to scale back or eliminate altogether their transportation programs. Due to advocacy efforts by several statewide organizations, for the first time in more than 10 years, the current 2022-23 enacted state budget included additional funding for home-to-school transportation. The funding now allows school districts to receive the greater of the current add-on, augmented for COLA, or 60% of reported transportation costs. This will allow our district to probably receive up to around $400,000 additional dollars for home-to-school transportation. The increased funding requires school districts to adopt a transportation plan annually that will specifically address how the school district will endeavor to provide home-to-school transportation for TK6 students, with a focus on low-income students in particular. Because we're one of the few districts left that still offers home-to-school transportation to the entire student body, our plan simply outlines the services we currently provide to all students, regardless of age or income levels. Our district, go back one slide there. Our district owns 21 school buses right now, 20 of which are powered by diesel fuel. We just received our first electric bus, and the second one should be here tomorrow morning. And we have been approved for grant funding for 6 other electric school buses that should arrive sometime in the next year. We're also working with SDG&E on a grant that will install the charging infrastructure. About half our student body uses the school bus to get to and from school. In order to offer home-to-school transportation to all students, the district currently operates a total of 16 routes. The routing system generally uses separate runs for grades TK through 3, grades 4 through 8, and grades 9 through 12. The district currently employs 17 bus drivers to cover these routes. In addition, the district provides specialized transportation for special education students as specified in their IEPs. These services are provided through the district's fleet of 4 vans and 4 van drivers. With the increased funding, the state intends for all school districts to begin providing home-to-school transportation in the elementary grades, and specifically for our unduplicated pupils. However, our school district has already achieved that goal, as we offer home-to-school to any student in our district who wishes to use the bus. We're one of the only school districts left that provides an extensive and free transportation program to the entire student body. Most other districts scaled back their bus transportation or started charging for bus passes when the state no longer required districts to provide it, and froze the transportation funding. However, our district has always put the safety of its students first, and providing school buses is one way that we keep students and cars off the roads, unlike many districts where students must walk to school. We've been providing home-to-school transportation for all for several decades, even though the cost significantly exceeds the state funding that we receive. Our research also indicates that our unduplicated pupils ride the bus in greater numbers than our non-UPP students, so we're proud to be providing a service that so many families rely on. So thank you for hearing this short presentation, and I recommend that you approve our first ever transportation plan, and we will be bringing this back to the board every spring. We're supposed to update it by April 1st every year.
Thank you, that was
Going
great
forward.
information. I had no clue on some of this, and that's the history of it. Great. Do I have a motion to approve this great plan? I'll make a motion. Okay, and a second? I'll second it. Okay, seconded by Member Culp Senior, and any discussion further? Let's vote. Member Benjamin. Member Caputo. Member Culp Senior. Member Polito. And Member Stroh votes aye. Our Human Resource Division, release of temporary certificated employees pursuant to Ed Code Section 44954, to approve the resolution number 2022-2023-06. Do I have a motion? So moved. Moved by Member Polito, and a second? Member Benjamin, and any discussion? No discussion? Let's vote. Member Benjamin? Member Caputo? Member Kolb Senior? Member Polito? And Member Stroh votes aye. Advanced Planning, regular board meeting, April 20th will be our next board meeting, April 20th, 2023, 6 p.m. in the VCHS Media Center right here. Adjournment. Oh, yeah, yeah. Adjournment, it is 7:03, and moving, do I have a motion to adjourn? Okay, Member Benjamin, and a second? Member Caputo, and any discussion? Voting, Member Benjamin. Member Caputo. Member Kolb Senior. Member Polito. And Member Stroh votes aye. We are dismissed. Thank you all for coming, your patience, your hard work.